When I first met Alina, I thought she loved me for who I was. I lived simply, dressing in plain clothes and driving an old car, even though I secretly owned companies worth $500 million. I wanted someone who would see me, not my money. For the first few years, our marriage seemed solid. We laughed, shared dreams, and made promises of forever. But slowly, her eyes began to wander toward luxuries I never displayed. She compared me with her friends' husbands, who flaunted fancy cars and grand vacations. One night, after another argument about money, she said words that cut deeper than any knife. "I can't keep living poor, Daniel. You can't even give me the life I deserve." I looked at her, holding back my silence, because I knew if she truly loved me, wealth wouldn't matter. But the truth was clear. She cared more about riches than loyalty. Within a month, she filed for divorce. She left without looking back, convinced she had freed herself from a poor man. The papers were signed, and I didn't fight her decision. She got nothing because she assumed there was nothing to take. I let her walk away, holding my secret close. Behind closed doors, my fortune grew even bigger. My companies expanded, and investments flourished. 5 years later, I was not just wealthy, I was untouchable in the business world. Yet, I carried the scar of betrayal in silence. During those years, I rebuilt myself emotionally. I focused on charity, helping struggling families and funding hospitals and schools. Strangers received the kindness my wife never valued. Through giving, I found peace. But deep down, I wondered what had become of Alina. Had she found the wealth she was so desperate for? Or was she still chasing shadows? Fate answered one evening at a gala I sponsored. The ballroom sparkled with diamonds, chandeliers, and the city's most influential people. I wore a tailored suit, no longer hiding my identity. As I greeted guests, I heard a voice I hadn't expected to ever hear again. "Daniel!" It was her, Alina. She stood in front of me, dressed elegantly, but her eyes betrayed desperation. Time had touched her beauty, and there was a weariness she couldn't hide. I smiled politely, as though she were a stranger. "Good evening," I said, keeping my tone formal. She blinked in shock, realizing I was no longer the poor man she once abandoned. You're hosting this," she stammered, her voice shaking. I nodded. "Yes. I own the company behind tonight's charity. We've grown quite a bit since the old days." She swallowed hard, her lips trembling. "I didn't know. I didn't realize." Her voice faded as shame washed over her face. In that moment, she reached for my arm, as if trying to reconnect. "Daniel, maybe we could talk. I was foolish before. I didn't see what I had." I gently pulled my arm away. My eyes remained calm, but firm. "No, Alina. You saw exactly what you had, you just didn't want it. My worth to you was measured in money, and back then, you thought I had none." Her smile faltered. The crowd around us noticed her discomfort, whispers spreading like fire. She tried again, her tone almost pleading. "People change, Daniel. We could start over." I looked past her, where my current fiancée, a kind-hearted woman who loved me long before she knew my wealth, was walking toward us. I placed my hand on my fiancée's shoulder. "Alina, this is Claire. She stood by me when I was sick, when I was stressed, and when I had nothing to give but myself. She is everything you chose not to be." Alina's face went pale as the truth hit her. She had thrown away love for greed, and in return, she gained nothing. Claire smiled warmly at me, unaware of the storm in Alina's eyes. I introduced her to the guests and walked away, leaving my ex-wife standing alone, surrounded by whispers. That was the last time I ever saw her. She had become a ghost of her own choices. In the weeks that followed, I learned from others that her second marriage had collapsed. The wealthy man she left me for had gone bankrupt, leaving her with debts. She had come to the gala hoping to win back the man she once discarded, but the world doesn't often grant second chances to those who betray love. As for me, I found peace in the arms of someone genuine. Wealth was never the prize. It was loyalty, kindness, and love that mattered. My ex-wife's greed had destroyed her path, but it had sharpened mine. The betrayal that once crushed me became the foundation of my strength. Looking back, I realized something important. Sometimes people leave when they think you have nothing, but their departure is a blessing. Because when true happiness arrives, you are free to embrace it without the weight of those who never deserved you. And so, the man she abandoned as poor built an empire of not just fortune, but love. While she spent her days chasing regrets, I lived mine in gratitude, knowing the greatest wealth was never the $500 million in my account, but the peace in my heart.